Hello guys, and over the summer, very end, I went to LBI. That's also where the skimboarding fail video short was filmed, so go watch that on my shorts. But we went to this place that I've never been before, but my mom went there when she was young, called Fantasy Island. It's a very small theme park, got 18 rides, but I thought once again, well, we did Dorney Park, want to roll with these ranking videos, why not do another one? So here's all 18 rides at Fantasy Island LBI ranked. Let's go. Obvious bottom spot. It's a carousel at the 18. Moving on. At 17, we have the train ride. Now, funny story behind this picture. This is a 3D model of the actual train used on the ride. And, it looks high quality. It's a high quality train. But the ride is literally just a little dip and then a little oval. It is probably the worst train ride I've ever been on. Moving on to number 6. At 16, we have the Hampton cars. The Hampton cars are basically just a better carousel, but you don't go up and down, but you sit in the car. So you trade off the up and down for having a cooler ride vehicle and the steering wheels. Nothing else to say about these. Moving on. At 15, we have Ride the Tide. This is just a simple one of these spinny boat rides, but without the water. This is kind of crappy, good for kids, nothing else. Moving on to 14. At 14, we have the Surf and Spin. Now, the Surf and Spin is a teacup ride, but this one is particularly good as you can really get some good spinning opposite directions in the cups if you spin it enough. Perfectly fine. That's why it's at number 14. At 13, we have the Summertime Swings. These are your basic kiddie swing ride. Not as sketchy as the one that I did at the fair, but they're still pretty fine. You can see that they're attached at one point, making them have a little bit more lift if it's spin the right way. But all in all, a pretty mid ride. Now at number 12, we have this creepy looking thing. This is Octo's Wheel of Friends, aka the Kitty Ferris wheel. Doesn't really go that high. Only thing that really is pointing out about it is how creepy all the things look. Look at those eyes, they just stare at you into your soul. I'm getting scared here. Let's move on to 11. At 11, we have the honeybees, but things don't get much better here with the creepy factor, as these things still look like they're staring into your soul and want to eat your soul. So, these things are just like little bouncy fish rides, nothing special, but they do get a few good bounces occasionally. Moving on to number. At 10, we have Kai's Dive, and this is just the baby rocking ship ride. Nothing else really to say about it. You get some good forces on the front and back, but it's a baby ride. Moving on to number 9. At number 9, we have the Flying Pirates. You go up and down and round and round and round on the thing. There are many different variations of this ride. This is the one that this park has. Pretty common flat ride. Nothing special. Moving on to number. At 8, we have the Giant Wheel. This is just a really big Ferris wheel compared to the other kiddie one from earlier. This one, you do get some nice views of LBI and the surrounding area, but it's just a common there's Carson, but it's just a common Ferris wheel. Nothing too special else about it. Moving on to number 7. At number 7, we have Shark Attack. Shark Attack is a tilt-a-whirl, but it's a very smooth one at that. There's not really any rough patches. Very smooth ride overall, and you do get some great forces and whips, as always, on the tilt-a-whirl. Great tilt-a-whirl. Moving on to number. At 6, we have these bumper cars. Now, this bumper car ride is pretty good overall. Pretty smooth, except for a few weird patches, but that's besides the point. The driving is also really smooth. Only problem is the position of the pedal in the car, a little weird. Other than that, it's a great bumper car ride. That's why it's in. At 5, we have the crab race. This is just a Himalaya ride. I'm not the biggest fan of the Himalaya rides, but this one's particularly smooth, not really that much bumping or roughness. It does get you some good whips, good spins, all around okay ride. Moving on to number 4. At 4, we have the Atlantic Scrambler. This is just one of the scrambler rides, but this is a particularly very forceful one. You get whipped across the thing. You go from back, forth, back, forth. Very forceful, one of the best scrambler rides I've ever been on. Now let's go into the top. At 3, we have the Lighthouse Launch. Lighthouse Launch launches you up. It's really just a drop tower, nothing else special besides that. It does get you a nice view, and the initial launch up is pretty good. It's overall a very average drop tower ride, but when other rides here are just regular flat rides, a thrill, regular, standard drop tower will get you pretty high on this list. Moving on to number 2. At 2, we have Sea Dragon's Revenge. This is your typical boat ride that goes back and forth, but this one, very smooth, I've noticed, and very good at getting you out of your seat. If you're sitting in that back row or front row, you get a bunch of airtime as you get lifted out of the seat. Great boat ride, one of the best I've ever been on. Now let's get to our... At number 1, we have the Parks roller coaster, Hang 10. This is a very standard spinning coaster model. It's the big figure 8 where you get launched up one half. And right now what you're looking at in the picture is the drop part of it as you go out of the cutout and around a big another corkscrew. Do this about 5 or 6 times, which is really good for one of these. Now these carts, they get very spinning once they get going. One of the most spinning spin coaster rides. Now, the other part about this is once you go down that drop turn, you get whipped around the turn and into the station after every lap. That is one of the most forceful turns I've ever been on a coaster, as you really feel yourself getting pushed into your seat. Like, you get a lot of positive G's on that. Overall, great roller coaster, and that's why it's our number 1. So yep, there it is, my ranking of all 18 rides at Fantasy Island. Of course, the roller coaster is going to be number 1. They really got nothing else. Like, it's a cool place for, like, just a day there. Nothing too big. Thank you all for watching. See you all next